Brian Vicente here with this week's weekly update from Vicente Sederberg. Thanks for tuning in. A couple of exciting things going on this week. One is that Laura Harris, the head of the Marijuana Enforcement Division at the over at the Department of Revenue, has resigned, and she will be out of there come August 1st, so pretty soon. The sort of interim head to take over is Louis Koski, as well as Ron Camerzal. We've worked with both Ron and Louis quite a bit. Our law firm has, especially Louis, we found to be very reasonable. So we think that's probably a good thing for him to be in that position. But it's an interesting maneuver over there. It appears they're probably going to try to hire someone else to bring on board, and Louis and Ron will be more in a sort of interim capacity, but yet to be determined. Other things, we're seeing a lot of in relation to Amendment 64, we're seeing a couple different communities around the state really talk seriously about having extra taxes added on, which will be voted on this November. So as a reminder, all across Colorado, people are going to be voting for this 10% sales tax, up to 15% excise tax this November, but local communities are looking at adding on an additional tax. So most notably, Denver is looking at a 5 to 15% additional tax. That is somewhat concerning to us. We think it's getting to a point where that perhaps consumers are being overly taxed. So we're going to try to work with Denver to get that as low as possible, or even to remove it. So please, if you're in Denver, you're concerned about this, feel free to get in touch with us. But that's an interesting issue going on. Also, places like Breckenridge are looking at a 5% tax, more reasonable than 15. But again, we're looking at 5 on top of that 25 that's already going to exist. So it's just one of those things where we need to be careful about slapping on these new taxes, even if they're going to fund worthwhile programs. I am going to actually turn things over to Christian and Josh, who are going to talk about the new DOR rules as they relate to the Amendment 64 businesses. So thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you soon.
As you all know, the new medical marijuana rules recently came out. It hit the press on Monday. They actually came out on Thursday. And hopefully you should have received an email with those rules from us. Part of those rules, overall they're pretty thorough, and they're pretty similar to the medical marijuana rules that are currently in place. We will be, these rules are just the emergency rules. They only apply to non-medical marijuana businesses. So, there will be a permanent rulemaking process going on over the next 9 months, and the MED now will be creating a work group of stakeholders, similar to the task force, similar to the work groups they've had making rules in the past, to really provide feedback and suggestions about these rules. Here at Vicente Sederberg, we're still in the process of deeply analyzing these rules, and we will be either having individual meetings with you or having a webinar or some sort of meeting, so each one of you knows our views on each and every one of these rules. A couple quick points about the rules I think that you should all know is that the licensing fees set in the rules for this initial period are exactly what the licensing fees are for medical marijuana. There's also dual premise rules that came out that allow for dual premises for the grows, for the MIPS, and for the retail businesses. It does require separate entryways, separate point of sale systems, really separate premises if the business decides to serve people under the age of 21. Also, a couple other key points is that they will allow medical marijuana employees to work at retail marijuana businesses, but not the other way around due to the stricter requirements for medical marijuana employees. The state has also appeared to incorporate more of a good moral character standard. It's yet to see if they will, apply the standard. But it does, define good moral character as a person who's fair, honest, and trustworthy. Those are some key points. Like I said, we'll be diving in a lot further into these regulations and providing each and every one of you a full analysis of them. And they're just, I will reiterate, they are just emergency regulations now that apply to non-medical marijuana businesses. And, there'll be a permanent process over the next 9 months. Thanks.
I just wanted to talk about a couple quick things that are going on. Josh did speak about some of the regulatory stuff. I'm going to avoid that for now because we'll have a lot more to come on that stuff. But I just wanted to briefly talk about some of the insights we've gotten from the now Marijuana Enforcement Division recently. A couple of things that people should know about is that it's now the medical marijuana program is now fully decoupled, which means that the local licensing and the state licensing operate totally independently from each other. The state is in the process of issuing a ton of licenses to people that have been held up by local governments, particularly Denver. So there's a big stack of licenses that they're just sending out, and all these licenses are obviously contingent upon being able to operate at the local level. So if you have any questions on that, just let us know. But it's a pretty important development. It's a really good development. It will help streamline the process, certainly for new applicants in medical, but also existing people waiting for licenses. The other thing about the enforcement division is that as of July 1st, when they're officially now the marijuana enforcement division, not medical marijuana enforcement division, they got a pretty big injection of cash, and they're in the process of hiring multiple new employees, including a number of new field investigators and also licensing folks to help process applications, which is another very positive development. We had John Seckman and Michelle basically working on everything in the licensing side, and now they've added a couple people, and every person they add just makes the process go that much smoother. So one of the insights that Louis Koski gave us when we were down there a few days ago about this addition of field investigators is that they are going to be out in the field doing a lot more surprise inspections, scheduled inspections, everything else. And one of the things he really emphasized was employee training, and to the extent that we can have all of our employees knowing exactly what's going on, what the rules are, if there is any sort of issues or violations, minor, anything like that, it really will mitigate to show that we did provide some sort of comprehensive training. So there'll be a lot more to come on that, but at this point, what we think is smart for everyone to do is to have, even if it's a short 1 or 2 pager with kind of the top 20 things that employees should know, and just make sure they all have that and preferably would sign off on something. So let us know if you guys want anything like that prepared. We're happy to do it, and we've got some stuff we're working on already. Besides that, yeah, everything, we continue on. We got a task force coming up for regulations over the next month, and we press forward. So keep up the good work out there, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks.